The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
My fellow Baal worshippers, as you all may know, I, Jehu, am now pronounced King of Israel. Settle down, settle down. And as my first act of king, I have taken the liberty to rid this land of Ahab and his descendants. And as you may have heard, Ahab served Baal a little, but I, Jehu, will serve him much. Now let the sacrifices begin.
Now to Baal, we offer you a sacrifice.
All right, now men, I've assembled 80 of you and Jehonadab. Jehonadab, I want you to go and make sure that there are only Baal worshippers here. Make sure that no one who worships the Most High God is in attendance, okay?
Yes, sir.
And now you men, 80 men, listen to me and listen to me good. If you let any of these Baal worshippers in this house escape, it'll be your life for theirs, okay? Now make it happen. Baal worshippers die tonight.
In this chapter, we witness the rise of Jehu as he embarks on a mission of vengeance and annihilation against idolatry. Prepare to be enthralled by a clash of power, the dramatic confrontation, and the profound lessons of righteousness and justice. Join us as we unveil the riveting events of 2 Kings chapter 10, where destiny takes center stage and the winds of change shape the future of a nation. As always, be blessed and enjoy. All right, welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast here with your hosts,
Nakhaz Gay
and Earl Roberts. Hopefully everyone enjoyed last week's episode. We are recording this very close to the last week's episode. We don't even know the feedback on that episode yet. But hopefully everyone enjoyed it. I'm sure whenever we do hear back, we'll probably talk about it on the podcast. But yeah, man, it was good. It was good. God has been blessing us. We are now on 151. It's an easy number to remember. And yeah, man, thanks again for all the support and all the help. So it's been a while in real time since we've talked about 2 Kings. But for you guys, it's only been 2 weeks. But yeah, we are, in this week, we're going back to 2 Kings. And we are in 2 Kings chapter 10. In the episode previously, when we talked about 2 Kings, we was in 2 Kings chapter 9. And then Jehu, the man who drives like a wild man, his chariot, he was the one who got anointed to become the next king of Israel.
Jehu? Israel, yeah.
Yeah, Israel. He's got to be careful because, these Judahs is be...
Yeah, and it's like, I feel like it's almost second nature just to say Israel.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so he became king of Israel, and we see Jehu went on a
killing spree.
Yeah, to say the least. He went on a little killing spree. And we also saw how Jezebel met a violent death, as some would say. And so we're picking back up in 2 Kings. This week we're in 2 Kings chapter 10. I am reading from the New King James Version, and here we go. Now Ahab had 70 sons in Samaria.
So you think that means that he had 70 sons in Samaria? Or you think he had 70 sons total and they was just in Samaria?
And that's an interesting question because you read it and it kind of implies that it might be sons other places, but I think this all his sons.
Yeah, true.
I think this all his sons. So, and Jehu wrote letters and sent to Samaria to the rulers of Jezreel and to the elders and to those who reared Ahab's sons, saying, now, as soon as this letter comes to you, since your master's sons are with you, and you have chariots and horses and a fortified city also and weapons, choose the best qualified of your master's sons, set him on your father's throne, and fight for your master's house.
Interesting.
But they were exceedingly afraid and said, look, 2 kings cannot stand up against them. How then can we stand? And he who was in charge of the house and he who was in charge of the city, the elders, and those who reared the sons sent to Jehu saying, we are your servants. We will do all you tell us, but we will not make anyone king. Do what is good in your sight. Then he wrote a second letter to them saying, if you are for me and will obey my voice, take the heads of the men, your master's sons, and come to me at Jezreel by this time tomorrow. So now, would you...
It's just interesting because these kings, but these brothers of Ahab, they about to die anyway. So they might as well try to put up a fight. You know what I mean? But their fate is written. And obviously it's written by God because the Lord, prophesied that this was going to happen. Like the house of Ahab was going to fall. And Jehu already starting this. But it's just interesting. The people who in Ahab's camp, his siblings' camp, they don't want nothing to do with this man, Jehu. So I actually believe Jehu was like I don't want to call him crazy, but he sounds like a very aggressive person. Like even from the way he drives, they know for a fact he drives like a madman. You know what I'm saying? And this person, in the previous chapter, people coming to him saying, bro, you come in here, but I know you want us. Like you work for the military, you know what I'm saying? You're a captain. But why you here? Like, is it for peace? And he's not answering. He's like, bro, why you care?
You want to find out?
Yeah, you want to find out? Better follow me. You know what I mean? And so now, this dude, he don't seem like someone you could actually really reason with for real, bro. Like, straight up, he's like, yo, 70 of y'all, put someone on the throne so I could kill them. You know what I mean?
You know what he's saying, bro? Like, the choice is y'all. Like, I tell you what to do. Like, put someone on the throne. Ain't the most qualified. You ain't got to be the oldest.
Nope.
You ain't got to be the smartest. Whoever y'all think could be the strongest, however y'all decide was the most qualified, put someone on the throne and let's go at this.
And there's 70 of them to choose from.
All you got is options. You can pick the criteria, have a board, deliberate, discuss amongst yourselves, but I come in.
But ain't nobody want that smoke, bro. They like, bro, you asking me to go against a trained professional.
And the funny thing about it is, right, you're putting 70 of them out. These people ain't even consulting the sons, but y'all.
Like, no.
Hey, y'all get that.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. They're going to die. Like.
Wait, so now he asked for their heads, right? I was going to say, do you think this was figurative or literal?
I think it was literal. Because when David get Goliath head, that was very literal. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to kings and overthrowing people, they taking your head for sure. You know.
That's a fact.
But I think when Saul died, the Philistines cut off their heads. Or did they just leave them hanging at the entrance?
They didn't leave them hanging.
Yeah, they left them hanging.
So now, the king's sons, 70 persons, were with the great men of the city who were wearing them. This also makes me believe these children were young too, or at least not full of full age. I'd say that. So it was when the letter came to them that they took the king's sons and slaughtered 70 persons, put their heads in baskets, and then sent them to Jezreel. Then a messenger came and told him, saying, they have brought the heads of the king's sons. And he said, lay them in 2 heaps at the entrance of the gate until morning.
Mercy.
Imagine 35 heads in the heap, bro. These just the heads.
That's heads, bro.
That's
gruesome.
Boy, what a time to be alive.
What a time.
So it was in the morning that he went out and stood and said to all the people, you are righteous indeed. You are righteous indeed. I conspired against my master and killed him. But who killed these? Know that nothing shall fall to the earth of the word of the Lord, which has spoke concerning the house of Ahab. For the Lord has done what he spoke by his servant Elijah. So Jehu killed all who remained in the house of Ahab in Jezreel, and all his great men and his close acquaintances and priests, until he left him none remaining. Talk about being blot out.
Yeah, no, that's a blot out.
Like, bro, even your close acquaintances got it. The only thing that'll be written about you is what the Lord decides should be written about you. Ain't no one gonna be left to tell the tale. Oh, I know him. No.
He had about 70 sons, bro.
You still stuck on that?
That's a lot of sons.
He's trying to give Solomon a run for his money.
Yes, but see, it's interesting because you remember when the king of Syria, Ben-Hadad, was like, bro, all of your sons are mine.
Mm-hmm.
He's about to give up 70 sons, bro.
Ben-Hadad knows something.
Yeah, Ben-Hadad knows something, but I talking more about Ahab because Ahab just laid down. You know what I mean? Ahab was like, yeah, I could do it. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't slopping up for real, you know?
He got to have multiple concubines because I don't think Jezebel gave him no 70 sons.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Kasi said it's absolutely. But like, she had such a hold on him.
Yeah, she did.
But that's a lot of sons, man.
It is.
Jeez. It's more than a football team.
Real.
When you could field a full football team, offense, defense, and special teams, but that's a lot of people, bro.
That's a lot of people, bro. But, you know.
There'll be enough for the practice squad, too.
Yeah, and apparently none of them was fighters for real. I wonder, I question if Ahab was a fighter, bro. Just a little bit of a tangent. But like I say, when Ben-Hadad come, he was like, bro, yeah, you could have it. And it was the elders who was like, bro, no.
You got to fight.
No, we going to war. Like,
It was an interesting guy. Yeah. But now, yeah, that's just utter devastation from him and his family. Like, But they lived wickedly. So what can you say?
Yep.
So reading from verse 12. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And he rose and departed and went to Samaria. On the way at Beth Eked of the shepherds, Jehu met with the brothers of Ahaziah, king of Judah, and said, who are you? So they answered, we are the brothers of Ahaziah, and we have come down to greet the sons of the king and the sons of the queen mother.
They ain't even know what's happening, bro. They ain't
Talk
even
about
know.
wrong place, wrong time.
Wrong place, wrong
Just
time.
like they
bro.
daddy.
Just like they daddy, bro.
Wrong place, wrong time. And he said, take them alive. So they took them alive and killed them at the well of Beth Eked. 42 men, and he left none of them.
Okay.
In a 2-day span.
112 people.
Minimum, because we ain't know how much acquaintances and priests there was either.
112 relatives. Okay, so now this is the point I was making.
Mm-hmm.
So when we start off, we asked if he had 70 sons in Samaria, or if he had 70 sons. Because I really struggle to understand why Athaliah's siblings are being killed right now. Listeners, for context, Athaliah was, I think, the son-in-law of Ahab. No. He was the... Okay, Ahab's daughter married Jehoram. Jehoram, and they had Athaliah, right? Right. So he's the grandson of Ahab and Jezebel. All right, I got it right now. I got it. But also he is the descendant of the line of David.
Isn't Athaliah a female?
No, that's the guy. Athaliah is the guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, Athaliah was the king. Athaliah was the king. No, I'm sorry, Ahaziah. You're right. Athaliah was the woman. Ahaziah is who I think him of.
Yeah, I was like, that name just sounds so feminine.
Yeah. You're right. It's something with an A. Them two A names.
It's too much A's.
Yeah.
It's too much A's. It's too much J's.
J's for sure. Okay. Right. Okay. I'm looking at the screen, the chart now. Athaliah is Ahab's daughter.
Okay.
Right.
And she married Joram.
Yeah, Jehoram or Joram, however they say it, right? And they had a son, Ahaziah. Ahaziah's brothers are being killed right now, right? But Ahaziah had two parents. One was on Ahab's line and one was in David's line, right? So now, if you have 40, or was it like 42 brothers? 42 of your brothers being killed. I find it hard to believe all of those were Athaliah's sons. You understand? I find it hard to believe Athaliah, the daughter of Jezebel and Ahab, or the daughter of Ahab, had 43 children. I find it very hard to believe in all sense. Which leads me to believe that they had to been brothers on Jehoram's side, which is David's side. So now, let's just speak in extremes. Let's say they were 100% only on Jehoram's side, right? Jehu has now killed 70 sons of Ahab, and now 42 descendants of David. You know what I mean? So now I question if this was a part of the plan, because the prophecy as told by Elijah? Was in regards to Ahab, specifically Ahab. And now, even people from the line of David are being killed. So right now, I'm wondering, is this Jehu being bloodthirsty, or is this all a part of the plan? We just wiping out everyone from that line.
I think Jehu going a little bloodthirsty right now.
I agree.
Yeah, he wilding.
I agree, because truly, it wasn't all. This isn't like, you're not killing all of David's line, because Ahaziah still have children. You know what I'm saying? Oh wait,
I mean all of Ahaziah's line?
Ahaziah. See, so I'm looking at the chart, right? So we have Ahaziah, then Joash, right?
Yeah.
Joash is the son of Athaliah.
Might.
Okay, we jump in the gun.
I think Joash actually is. Yeah.
Let's just stop it there. But I don't. Jesus came from the line of David, right? So that means obviously all of David's lineage is not destroyed right now, you know. And so, but anyway, Jehu looked like he crossing lines, in my opinion.
Jehu's an interesting guy, very interesting guy. Now in verse 15, after he killed them, he departed from there and went to meet Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, coming to meet him. And he greeted him and said to him, "Is your heart right, as my heart is towards your heart?" And Jehonadab answered, "It is." Jehu said, "If it is, give me a hand." So he gave him his hand, and he took him up to him into the chariot. And he said, "Come with me and see my zeal for the Lord." So they had him ride in his chariot. And when he came to Samaria, he killed all who remained to Ahab in Samaria, till he had destroyed them according to the word of the Lord, which spoke to Elijah.
Mercy.
So this begs the question: is he going off the rails, or he just, or is this zeal?
Based on his words, this is zeal for the Lord. But at the same time, bro, you could be zealous for the Lord and still overdo it, you know.
Boy, I think he overdoing it.
Because remember,
go for it.
Remember, we a few chapters ago, when the king of Judah and Israel, as well as Edom, they had a feud with, was it the Moabites? And remember, they end up taking things too far. God said you always can do this, but then they took things too far. Like that has happened, you know. Are we gonna even see? I mean, like sometimes God gives you the green light, and sometimes you could show your lack of faith. Sometimes you could show greed in the midst of that. You know what I'm saying? And Nakhaz, like as of my understanding right now, I believe that he is doing too much. Like he overdoing it. And the reason why I'm saying that is because based on Jehu's character, we would realize that his heart wasn't turned towards God. You understand? And if you were so zealous for God, we would see that in your worship as well. You know what I'm saying? But that wasn't what it was. Like, I feel like God gave him the green light to do this, and then he allowed his ambitions, which kind of like there was like a commonality between them. I'm ambitious to be the guy. God sent me on this mission, and I about to go crazy with this because I have God's word, like his protection, saying this is what God says. You know. Mm-hmm. So like it's like sometimes we can follow the commandments and we can lack love.
That's a perfect example.
Right.
That's a perfect example.
So like even the Sabbath, for instance, right? And just can you keep it in the Bible? Jesus and his disciples, Jesus healed the paralytic on the Sabbath. You know, his disciples plucked corn on the Sabbath. Jesus could have allowed them to be deprived of a blessing, whether being food or being the ability to walk, all for the sake of the Sabbath. Oh no, God say don't work on the Sabbath. If this person lifts his mat up, that's work. Or if I heal you, that's work. I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? But now you go so hard for this fine print in the law that you exclude the love portion of it. You know what I'm saying? And the two they have to coexist. You have to follow God's commands, but it can't be at the expense of love, basically.
That's a really good example, because right now I think what we're seeing is an instance of what a lot of us do. Like, we try to latch on to something that God said, but take it out of context. And now your own pride and your own ego creeps in. Because now, think about it, bro. You telling someone, yo, come with me and watch what I about to do.
Yeah. Look at how good I is at following God.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so now that ain't God talking. That's your own pride talking now. Now your pride creeping into what should have been God's word fulfilling. So it's like you're fulfilling God's word, but you're doing it your own way. And now it's less about what God said to happen, but it's more about what you're saying. But it's more about what you're saying. It's more about what you want to do, but you're just going about it in your own way. So now it's like using God as a
scapegoat.
A scapegoat. Like you was the wolf in sheep clothing. So now in verse 18, then Jehu gathered all the people together.
I like this story.
Yeah, this story is a bad one.
I like this one.
This story is a bad one. Then Jehu gathered all the people together and said to them, Ahab served Baal a little. Jehu will serve him much.
Yep.
Now therefore call to me all the prophets of Baal and all his servants and all his priests. Let no one be missing. For I have a great sacrifice for Baal. Whoever is missing shall not live.
Mercy.
And the Bible says, but Jehu acted deceptively with the intent of destroying the worshippers of Baal. And Jehu said, proclaim a solemn assembly for Baal. So they proclaimed it. Then Jehu sent throughout all Israel, and all the worshippers of Baal came, so that there was not a man left who did not come. So they came into the temple of Baal, and the temple of Baal was full from one end to the other. And he said to the one in charge of the wardrobe, bring out the vestments for all the worshippers of Baal. So he brought out vestments for them, and Jehu and Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, went into the temple of Baal and said to the worshippers of Baal, search and see that no servants of the Lord are here with you, but only the worshippers of Baal. So they went in to offer sacrifices and burnt offerings. Now Jehu had appointed himself 80 men on the outside, and he said, if any of the men whom I have brought into your hands escapes, whoever lets him escape, it shall be his life for the life of the other.
Mercy. So Jehu, like, he playing chess, first of all.
Yes.
I remember the first time I read this, I laughed, bro. Y'all think that one used to worship Baal. I really want to worship Baal, right? So everybody excited.
They happy.
But then he turned around and say, we about to have an assembly, and if y'all not in attendance, you will die. We worshiping Baal, and that's so serious I am, bro. If you don't come to worship Baal, you're getting killed.
Now, either way, you're getting your dance, but you don't know that.
You don't know that. So it's like, and he just killed all of these people. So it's like, he good for it. He's not playing about the threats, bro. Like, he probably will kill you. And, like, he probably telling the truth, too, If you are a known Baal worshiper and you're not in attendance, he's going to find you and kill you. I believe that. I believe he could follow through with that. So it's like he killed two birds with one stone, because when he got there, he makes sure, first of all, he say, bro, if you're going to die, so that's to get people there, right? And then while he get everyone there, he like, yo, make sure ain't no fakers around us. You know what I mean? So that way his plan could be foolproof and nobody mistakenly get hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, don't be like that guy who spoke up when it was when Elisha was saying by tomorrow y'all buy the flour for the ephah or something.
Yeah, right. Don't jump in front of that bullet.
No.
And so now he like, yo, he got the guards outside. Now the guards might not care about this story, but he like, bro, if you don't follow my orders of killing everyone in here, anyone who get free, your life it is.
Exactly.
So if you want to stay alive, what you gonna do? You're gonna follow them orders.
But you would think that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So reading on in verse 25, now what happened as soon as he had made an end of the offering of burnt offering, that Jehu said to the guard and to the captains, go in and kill them, let no one come out. And they killed them with the edge of the sword, and the guards and the officers threw them out, and went into the inner room of the temple of Baal, and they brought the sacred pillars out of the temple of Baal and burnt them. Then they broke down the sacred pillar of Baal and tore down the temple of Baal and made it a refuse dump to this day.
Mercy.
Jehu destroyed Baal from Israel. However, in verse 29, Jehu did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who had made Israel sin, that is, from the golden calves that were at Bethel and Dan. And the Lord said to Jehu, because you have done well in doing what is right in my sight, and have done to the house of Ahab all that was in my heart, and your sons shall sit on the throne of Israel to the 4th generation. But Jehu took no heed to walk in the law of the Lord of God of Israel with all his heart, for he did not depart from his sins of Jeroboam, who made Israel sin. So what's your thoughts on that ending part?
Right. So it's like, the question is, okay, the brothers of Ahaziah, were they descendants of Ahab, right? Because this might be a semantic point, but the Lord blessed them for his zeal as it relates to the house of Ahab. It did not mention Baal. You understand? It mentioned the house of Ahab, right? Now, I guess the house of Ahab, they were definitely Baal worshippers and stuff like that. So the two probably go together, right? But I don't know. I still question where his greed come into play, because if the house of Ahab is, if the 42 brothers that were Ahaziah's siblings were not from the house of Ahab, I take that as him saying, bro, I blessing you for the things you get right, and the things you get wrong, that's a different story. I blessing you because you deal with Ahab for sure. You know what I'm saying? But when it come to Jehu in total, we know for a fact that he followed instructions to a degree. So now this zeal we talking about, how zealous were you for God? I don't know, bro. You so zealous for God, but when you zealous for what's the word? Avenging God, but you're not zealous for obeying God type of situation. It's like, to me, it's like it seems disingenuous for real. Like, I care about everything you say so much, bro. Only in this realm, though. You know what I mean? So how zealous for God are you, bro? Like, did you really enjoy the assignment God gave you? Or are you doing this because of your zeal for God? Because it's a difference. And at the end of the day, God comes to you and tells you, maybe by prophet or by dream or by, I don't know, or Urim, right? And he tells you, bro, you did so well, your children can sit till the 4th generation. That's a fact. So you get a direct response from God. But you say, I don't got to worship him, though. I'll follow after, I'll be a different religion. Like, so Baal is no good, but I'll worship after the sins of Jeroboam, and that should be fine.
I'll worship Shemoth or...
How zealous is this guy, bro? You know what I'm saying?
I'll worship someone else.
I follow in a different religion. So I don't know, like I think it's like it's kind of contradictory, the story. On one hand, he did accomplish everything, bro. Like he destroyed the house of Ahab. Facts, bro. He removed Baal from Israel.
He did.
Facts, you know what I'm saying? However,
Which is wild.
him following God did not lead him to God. Which leads me to say, why were you so zealous for this? It's because you got a promotion. You're like, bro, I doing anything to keep my job?
I think it's a couple of things, right? Who knows? He might not even like serving Ahab.
Probably.
Just because he was the captain don't mean...
You loyal to him.
Yeah.
But you enjoy it.
And clearly he was like, oh, I'm the king. Yeah, no second guess. All right, I'm doing this.
Straight up.
So that means clearly there was some type of animosity there probably between them. But absolute power absolutely corrupts. He's the king now. He can do whatever he want. You know what I'm saying? Yep. It's like, I think, and it shows like he was so happy to get rid of Ahab on his line. But it's like, again, like, why were you happy to do it? Because God told you, or because you just had some personal ambitions that you want to get to? You to your point, you killing people who probably ain't even Ahab's line. You know what I'm saying? He was like, yep, y'all gotta go too. Just because Isaiah was there too, and he almost tried to stop me, and he tried to run. So yeah, but y'all getting y'all things too.
Yeah, it's interesting because they would have had to been Isaiah's younger brothers. Because if it wasn't, they should have been king already. You know what I'm saying? And so these could have been pretty young guys,
bro. I think Ahab's children were the ones because they were still being reared, bro.
Yeah. And
this is even why we probably have time to actually go to the next chapter, but this is why the king we talk about the next chapter, why he was so young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
He was so young. So it makes sense that these were still like kids or teenagers. So
yeah, that's why they couldn't have fight, bro. I can't compete. Like, just a boy like that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So let's just end this end this chapter. In verse 32, in those days the Lord began to cut off parts of Israel. And Hazael, remember that name, conquered them in the territory of Israel from Jordan eastward. All the land of Gilead, Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh from Aroer, which is by the river of Arnon, including Gilead and Bashan. Now the rest of the acts of Jehu, and all he did, and all his might, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the king of Israel? So Jehu rested with his fathers and was buried in Samaria. Then Jehoahaz, his son, reigned in his place. And the period Jehu reigned over Israel in Samaria was 28 years.
Nice reign.
He was almost reigning for 3 decades.
Yeah, he had a nice reign. And then there's 4 generations, or maybe 3 more after that.
That's wild. So now in 2 Kings chapter 11, how you say her name again? Because you just were saying this.
Athaliah.
Athaliah. When Athaliah, the mother of Isaiah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the royal heirs. But Jehosheba, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Isaiah, took Joash, the son of Isaiah, and stole him away from among the king's sons who were being murdered. And they hid him and his nurse in the bedroom from Athaliah, so that he was not killed. So he was hidden with her in the house of the Lord for 6 years, while Athaliah reigned over the land. Now in verse 4.
But hold on, I wonder how Jehu, I guess all that pissed it against the wall, like. Yeah, she ain't pissed it against the wall. Because I like, bro.
Exactly.
You killed all her brothers, Athaliah's brothers.
Mm.
You killed her son. You killed all her son brothers. You know what I mean? Like, but she look at that as, oh well.
Athaliah interesting too, right? Because she did some killing too.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, why?
She look, it's my time to shine. Oh well, I mean, they dead too. Now I get it. Now I get a chance to be the queen.
I guess.
Because think about it, right? Jehu beef was with Israel mainly because Ahab was the king of Israel, right? Judah is a casualty at war because they intermarried. So they was half Judah, half Israel, right? Athaliah, who was an Israelite, says, yo, okay, no one claiming the throne in Judah? Shoot, that's my time to shine.
Don't mind if I do.
Don't mind if I do.
So in the 7th year, Jehoiada sent and brought out the captains of the hundreds, of the bodyguards and the escorts. And the footnote for escorts is guards. Okay, cool. And he brought them into the house of the Lord to him. And he made a covenant with them and took an oath from them in the house of the Lord and showed them the king's son. Then he commanded them, saying, "This is what you shall do. 1/3 of you come on duty on Sabbath, shall be keeping watch over the king's house. 1/3 of you shall be at the gate of Shur, and 1/3 at the gate behind the escorts. You shall keep watch of the house, lest it be broken into. The 2 contingents of you who go off duty on the Sabbath shall keep watch of the house of the Lord for the king. But you shall surround the king on all sides, every man with his weapons in hand. And whoever comes within range, let him be put to death. You are to be with the king as he goes out and as he comes in." So the captains of the hundreds did according to all that Jehoiada, the priest, commanded. Each of them took his men who were to be on duty on Sabbath with those who were going off duty on the Sabbath and came to the priest. And then the priests gave the captains of hundreds the spears and the shields which had belonged to King David that were in the temple. Then the escorts stood, every man with his weapons in his hand, around the king, from the right side of the temple to the left side of the temple, by the altar and the house. And he brought out the king's son, put a crown on him, and gave him the testimony, which was essentially the law at that point in time. And they made him king and anointed him, and they clapped their hands and said, "Long live the king."
The king, the youngest king in the Bible. At the tender age of, was it 7? Was he actually 7? Because they say 7 years later, but we don't know.
Well, they call him the boy king, right? They say, well, technically in the story, Joash became king when he was 8.
Okay, so he was hidden with her in the house for 6 years, right?
So we had to be
in the 7th year. I don't know. So see, we don't know how old he was.
They say in the 7th year, Jehu. So yeah, the 7th year of Athaliah's reign. So he was either 1 or 2 when things was going down.
Yeah,
he was 1 or 2.
Yeah, I guess that's the general understanding. But yeah, youngest king, either way, little boy.
The one who survived.
Yeah.
So they say, "Long live the king." And it's interesting too, like how
these phrases.
Well, they ancient, right?
Yeah.
But I still think it's interesting that like Jehoshaphat or Jehosheba, the daughter of Joram, the sister of Isaiah, was the one who like hid.
Yes.
So like you hid
auntie
from your own mommy.
Yes.
So it's like you. Or am I misreading it? Right?
No, it's either your mother or your stepmother. But it might not be specifically your. Wait, does it say the daughter of Athaliah?
But it doesn't say the daughter. Just say the sister.
Right. So the sister of Ahaziah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's either your mother or your auntie. So.
Is it your mommy or your stepmother?
Oh, I'm sorry. She's the auntie to the son that she had. It's either your mother or your stepmother. Yeah.
I was like, I know what she about to do. And next thing you probably heard let's kill all the sons, the rest of the sons that remaining of Isaiah. So it's like, all right, it's like, nope. For my one act, I'm gonna like just hide them away. And that's crazy. And it's like to tell the right people like who to trust. Like, okay, I can tell the high priest. What he do is information is gonna be on him.
Wait. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, my bad. You're right. everything we say. So,
you still got the thing pull up.
Yeah, I got it.
I was just like, oh, we gonna follow this line.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the next short chapter.
Yeah.
This might just be a short episode.
What?
All right. So now when Athaliah heard the noise of the escorts and of the people, she came to the people in the temple of the Lord. When she looked, There was the king standing by a pillar according to the custom, and the leaders and the trumpeters were by the king. All the people of the land were rejoicing and blowing trumpets. So Athaliah tore her clothes and cried out, treason, treason. And Jehoiada, Ida, these J's, man.
Right.
The priest commanded the captains of the hundreds and the officers of the army and said to them, take her outside under guard and slay her with the sword, whoever follows her. For the priest said, do not let her be killed in the house of the Lord. So they seized her and they went by way of the horses' entrance into the king's house, and there she was killed. Then the priest made a covenant between the Lord, the king, and the people, that they should be the Lord's people, and also between the king and the people. And all the people of the land went to the temple of Baal and tore it down. They thoroughly broke in pieces its altars, its images, and killed Matatan, the priest of Baal, before the altars, and the priests appointed officers over the house of the Lord. Then he took the captains of the hundreds, bodyguards, the escorts, and all the people of the land, and they brought the king down from the house of the Lord, and went by way of the gate of the escorts into the king's house, and he sat on the throne of the kings. So all the people in the land rejoiced, and the city was quiet, for they had slain Athaliah with the sword in the king's house. Joash was 7 years old when he became king. So 7.
That's what it is.
My bad, when I said 8 earlier.
Yeah, I know it was one of the two, but we know it's the 7th year that he became king. So it's like he was a newborn.
Essentially.
Yeah, he wasn't even 1 year old yet when his dad got killed. And it's so funny, Athaliah crying treason, treason. You kill all of the heirs to the throne. What's more treason than that?
You know what I'm
What are
saying?
you talking about?
Like, Joash should have just been a prince.
For real,
Should have
bro.
never really been king.
Real.
But you didn't kill the whole line between you and Jehu.
Boy, see, Jehu probably was sitting over there like, I can let them deal with that. I ain't even gonna lift my finger. See, but it shows that Jehu, his beef was not killing the line of David.
Exactly.
You understand? Because unless this one was just missed. But to me, it appears that nobody cared about this newborn baby. Ahaziah just so happened to die, maybe, because he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. But then all his brothers died too. You know what I'm saying? So I don't. It couldn't have been wrong place, wrong time. They must have had some type of affiliation with what's the name? With Ahab.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I know it's kind of complex, but or Jehu was just like, we killing all kings right now. Y'all intermingle. I ain't all y'all, cause you, hey, I would have let y'all live, even though you're all children of David. But what you say, you come to see the queen mother. And, wait, hold on.
He did say the queen mother, yeah.
No, I can't remember if it was the first set of brothers who said the queen mother or not.
It's the second set.
Okay, the second set. Y'all come to see the queen mother. Y'all can get what people who like the queen mother is get. You know what I mean? Like,
because now I really and truly, I can't differentiate who y'all is.
Yeah, right.
In all reality, it's like, bro, you know y'all was brothers, but you also, but y'all coming to see the queen mother, was that y'all?
Is y'all mother or was it y'all queen? Which one? Talk fast. You know what I mean?
You know what? Y'all slap it up. Off with your head.
And then then that's the thing. Jehu, he's zealous for God, but even in his, and I know if I go on this hard on David, because sometimes David, anyway, in his way of being zealous, he lying, he being deceptive, bro.
We was pretty hard on David.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, because I'm one, because David was the good guy in the story up until a point.
We gave David his things.
Right, because I remember Grammy say, what David do this time? Like, when we when I see a person. Oh. But, so now watch this. Jehu is supposed to be zealous for God, but he say, we can take y'all alive. And then turn around and didn't take them alive. You know what I mean? Or I guess that might not even have been alive. We can take y'all alive, but that means we can keep y'all alive. You know what I mean? And then when it come to Baal, that was just funny to me, bro. Baal, y'all joking with this Baal serve. Y'all serve him a little bit. I about to serve him much. You know what I mean? I about to serve him a lot. And then he turned around and say, no, JK, this really coming to kill y'all. They let them up their last ceremony.
Big sacrifice.
Big sacrifice.
Yeah, but he do it big. Hey, bring out the sacred robes, man, the vestments. Y'all do it big.
Do it big, man. Do it big.
It's a new king in town. I want y'all to do this. Y'all do it big.
Yeah, do it. Love yourself, man. Love yourself. Just to kill you. So I don't know, bro. I can give him in terms of zeal for God. I can give him a B plus only because God co-signed it still. God say, bro, you do everything that was in my heart. So I can give you that 4th generation up until the 4th generation. But other than that, this Jehu cat, you can see he wasn't really a true member. You know what I mean? Like he respect God. So much so that he say, everyone, make sure nobody who served the Lord is among these Baal worshippers. He said that specifically. Unless he assumes that Jeroboam also served the Lord in what he did. The Bible makes it clear when people follow Jeroboam, and it also made it clear how God felt about Jeroboam. You know, the prophets come over there.
He's not pleased.
Right. And Jehu respect God. He was zealous for God, but he just didn't follow the religion. You know what I mean? I can think about people like that now. Even last episode, we start to delve into the Islamic faith. Respect Jesus, bro, but he ain't God.
He ain't God to them.
Just
like, another prophet.
Just another prophet. You understand? Like just another prophet who we speak about more than any other figure in the Bible, because this was a great man. I see a video. I don't know if you sent it to me. I know my cousin sent me the same video, but it was this guy, this white gentleman from like the 70s or so, and he was saying the reason he's a Christian is because he follow all these religions and they keep mentioning Christ. It's like you have Christ level consciousness, or like the Buddhists say that, you know what I'm saying? Or they might say you a type of Christ, you know? And then the Islamic faith, they talk about Christ. And he's like, bro, everybody, like nobody dissing this dude, bro. Like everybody giving him his props. So let me see why. You know what I'm saying? And I led him straight to Christianity, and he understood. So if everybody giving Christ his props, and Christ saying, I am the only one, but everyone co-signing him. You understand? So like if everybody say Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player, that's common consensus. Everybody say that. And Michael Jordan say, bro, I wasn't as good as my brother. Because he has said that his brother was better than him. That led me to know his brother was very good. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I could trust Michael Jordan's opinion on basketball because everybody say he's the greatest. Now, if everybody talking about Jesus, everybody say he's great, and Jesus say, I am God. No one can get to God but through me. I am the gate. I am the door. Then, either every other religion is false because y'all believe a blasphemer, or Jesus is actually God. You know what I'm saying? And every other religion does not have the path to get into heaven or to the Most High God. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the conundrum. It's like, what are we gonna believe? Do we believe that there are many ways?
Many paths, yeah.
Many paths. So it's a very palatable. It's easy to digest. That my friend who is
a good person,
to my estimation, but a Buddhist or a Rastafarian, you know what I'm saying, or any other religion that is not Christian, but this a good dude, bro. There's no way he going to hell, bro. There's no way. You understand what I'm saying? But then at the same time, it's like he's a good person based on his estimation, but he might serve a false god. It's just like Jehu. We have Jehu, God sent him on a mission. He followed that mission, but I ain't worshiping you though. You know what I mean? Like I ain't gonna lie, God, you can tell me what to do with my lawn, but you ain't coming in the house now. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you pushing it on that front. I find that's very common, you know. And I wouldn't say I'm as much as an apologist for the Bible and for Jesus, but I feel very confident within myself and my faith that Jesus is God and Jesus is the way to heaven, you know. And we live in the western part of the world, but a lot of the things that people talk about in terms of spirituality is like Bible. It's like Bible influence, bro.
Yeah.
So you could ask me if I think a Hindu will go to heaven, right? But I'm like, bro, where y'all get heaven from? I only know about this from the Bible, bro. Talk to me in their terms and in their rules. You understand what I'm saying? and we could have a whole different conversation. But if we talking about the place that is mentioned by the Bible, it's only one way to get there, bro. Now, if you ask me how someone could get to purgatory, I'd say, bro, based on the Catholics, this is how that happens. You know what I'm saying? Now we could decide. You could decide whether you believe that or not. You understand? Or if you say how to get, and I ain't gonna just keep giving examples because I don't want to sound ignorant because I ain't read all these things. But how do you get to the end goal? You know what I'm saying? Depending on which end goal, you could follow whichever religion, however that religion say you can get there, you could follow that.
Yeah.
But if you ask me about heaven and hell, that is a Christian thing that I believe is the only truth in afterlife. It's only one God.
One way, yep.
You understand what I'm saying? It's only one God and it's only one way to get there. Jehu has not only destroyed the worshippers of Baal, but he has also sought out to kill all of the male descendants of Ahab. Meanwhile, Athaliah, the daughter of Ahab, is also trying to destroy the royal seed of her father so that she can reign in Judah. But let's just say there was one that got away. But we'll talk more about that on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.